Greetings. I'm Brad Cousins. I'm a professor at the University of Ottawa in Ottawa, Canada. I'm currently spending the fall term on sabbatical leave here at the beautiful Autonomous University of Barcelona. And I'm a professor of evaluation. I'm just really honored to have been invited to contribute to the EvalStory collection. This is a wonderful opportunity to be part of the 2015 International Year of Evaluation. And it's a good opportunity for reflection, I think not just for myself, but for everyone in the evaluation community about where the field has been and where it can go and perhaps where it should be going. So when I think about our field and our community, I guess today, I would say evaluation is very much overshadowed by the interests of donor agencies and of government. And there are good reasons for that. The accountability agenda is dominant, and it is essential. Certainly, we need to have accountability. We need to ensure that our resources, which are sometimes very thin, are being spent in appropriate ways. But it strikes me that what we know from research on evaluation suggests that the learning function of evaluation is just really powerful in leveraging program change and ultimately social betterment. And I think that's what evaluation is about after all. So, in my view, more balance is required, and we need to think about the interests of the program community much more broadly, defined to include such people as program managers, program developers, people responsible for frontline program implementation, but also those for whom programs are intended in the first place, the program recipients. We need to think about their interests and how they can benefit from evaluation, as well as those who drive the accountability agenda in this day and age. So, for those people who know me, it'll come as no surprise that my eval story is centered on use of evaluation, and also it implicates relationship building. Now, for me, the most significant lesson that I've learned over time is that relationships hold the key to unlocking the power of evaluation for social betterment. And we've known this for quite some time, and it's something that came up. Michael Patton referred to the personal factor so many years ago. I think this kind of thing is essential as we move forward. Well, I guess first and foremost, even though I teach evaluation and I practice evaluation, I consider myself to be a researcher on evaluation. And so we've had a research program for quite a number of years now, and I just want to talk a little bit about its trajectory over time. First, we were starting to study evaluation use. We wanted to explain use. We wanted to understand how to measure that. We wanted to know about factors that affect use, whether they help to enhance the use of evaluation or in some way impede. And our work over time evolved into looking at working with members of the program community in what we called participatory evaluation. And we found that participatory evaluation was really quite effective in getting people to pay attention to evaluation and have them integrate that into their decision making. More recently, our research has focused on evaluation capacity, and in particular the capacity to do evaluation as well as the capacity to use it. Now, a lot of people have written about and talked about the capacity to do evaluation, but not so many have talked about the capacity to use it, and I think that's just a really important consideration. Our current work is on evidence-based principles for collaborative approaches to evaluation. I'm going to say quite a bit more about that in a few minutes. But you're going to notice that underlying all of these different strands of research is the concept of use. Use is integral to all of this research, and relationship building, I would say, is integral to use. When I was invited to submit an EvalStory, a set of questions were laid out, essentially looking at, what is the future of evaluation over the next 5 years? What are the important topics for discussion and why are they important? What kinds of actions can we take to help strengthen evaluation practice? And what are some priorities for the 2016-2020 Global Evaluation Agenda? I want to, frame my response to those questions around our work on evidence-based principles for collaborative approaches to evaluation. And this is work done with colleagues at Queen's University and Carleton University and the University of Ottawa. And by collaborative approaches to evaluation, I mean approaches where evaluators work in partnership with members of the program community to produce evaluative knowledge. So I think that's just a really fundamentally important distinction to make. And our group has been of collaborative approaches to evaluation. We can think about context. So there may be some kind of call for an evaluation, a call for a collaborative evaluation even. But what's really going to be important are the contextual complexities within which the program resides. We need to have a good understanding of those before we can really fine-tune the purposes of the evaluation and ultimately the form the collaborative evaluation will take. So taking that perspective, it's kind of different from, for example, declaring I'm a participatory evaluator and we're going to do a participatory evaluation on this particular program. It's kind of switching that around and saying context matters, and we need to understand context before we can shape collaborative evaluation. By collaborative approaches to evaluation, there are many, many different species in this genre. Everything from utilization-focused evaluation to deliberative democratic evaluation to participatory evaluation, participatory rural appraisal, empowerment evaluation. There's just a whole range of species, I would say, located under this umbrella. So our project is a 3-year project that at one point involved 320 evaluators from North America and beyond in actually looking at some of the project work that they have done. And really what we were interested in most were two things. One, what were the reasons or the factors that promoted the success of collaborative approaches to evaluation in which they participated? And secondly, what kinds of reasons or factors were associated with projects that they'd been associated with that were less successful than they had hoped? And through gathering lots of data around that and using that data to develop our principles, we ultimately ended up with a set of 8 validated principles, and we put them through a validation process. And we can see them displayed in such a way that they are understood to be interconnected and interwoven. They are not understood as a linear sequence. Rather, it's a set. This is a set of principles, and the extent to which any one of the 8 will apply in any given situation is going to depend on context and the complexities of context. So we might start thinking about, for example, clarifying the motivation for the collaboration in the first place. Is that the approach to take, or should we be thinking about a more traditional approach? We also need to think about fostering meaningful and interprofessional relationships, because this is a project where people jointly construct knowledge and they work together. Relationship building doesn't come easily and it doesn't come overnight. We need to develop a shared understanding of the program. Everybody has a different understanding at some level, and it's good to get that, make that explicit and on the table. We need to promote participatory processes, because we need to decide, how is the decision making going to be handled in those processes? How can we, who is it that should be involved in the participatory process? And to what extent should they be involved? What kinds of roles should they have? We also need to think about monitoring and responding to resource availability. And I think key here is thinking about the time and availability of non-evaluator participants in the process. We need to make sure that we accommodate those interests. We need to monitor the evaluation progress and its quality. You can say that about any evaluation, but it's, I think, particularly important in a collaborative approach because the evaluator has a really strong role in ensuring that that happens, because we need to adhere to standards of professional quality. We need to promote evaluative thinking and try to work that into the culture of either the program or the organization within which the program resides. And finally, and this will come as no surprise, we need to follow through and try to realize use. When I'm saying use here, I'm not just talking about instrumental and conceptual use of findings, but I'm talking also about transformative kinds of uses, process use, the development of capacity for inquiry as an example. So these are all sort of interwoven and interconnected, and we need to think about those in any given project. In terms of uses and applications of the principles, we have a few ideas about that. I'm sure there are more, but 4 that come to mind. First of all, they can be used as a guide to collaborative practice. This is going to be really helpful, I think, to ensure that the process will be as rich as it can be, and it'll be as successful as it can be. We need to reflect also, we could use these to reflect on collaborative practice. Maybe we've done a project already and perhaps it didn't go as well as we thought, or perhaps it went really well. We can use the principles to help reflect on practice to understand why. We can also use the principles to inform training, like workshops, for example, or education, like structuring a course or modules in a course. And finally, and this one is close to my own passion, we can use the principles as a guide to our research and helping us to structure research, identify interesting questions to look at, and help us to move forward with evidence gathering. Well, I want to close my EvalStory with a couple of reflections. One is I had a good look at the tentative draft priorities for the global evaluation agenda, and I found a few phrases that kept popping up. First of all, equity focused, then gender responsive, and there was capacity building. And I'm thinking that these are fairly significant challenges for the global evaluation agenda. Challenges that are not going to be easy to attain in any stretch of the imagination. So in my EvalStory, which is all about collaborative approaches to evaluation, it strikes me that with their emphasis on relationship building and use, they're going to play a significant and principal role in helping us to achieve some of these objectives. Muchas gracias. Thank you very much for listening.